What's up, YouTube? It's Leo, or Boonta1987. You can find me on Destiny if you want to come talk trash to me or play with me, TTV underscore Boonta1987. So, first of all, I didn't know that the change was a one-time deal until I had already changed my names, which is why I was streaming one day and I was like, let me put TTV in my name. And now I look like an idiot having TTV on my account because I thought I could delete it afterward or change it back afterward. In any case, today I want to talk about skill-based matchmaking, which is sort of a hot topic with Season 17, Season of the Haunted, coming to an end here shortly, in just a couple weeks, I think. I don't know, I haven't been on too much in the last week or so. Plus, whatever. But yeah, I want to talk about this, and if you watch any of the content creators' videos, you'll see that there are people on both sides of the argument, of course, right? As there is with anything. The thing is, some of these arguments are pretty valid, and some of them not quite as much. They're sort of rhetoric that's common for their side, not unlike politics, where, I don't know, people have already chosen a side, and then whatever is thrown at them is like they have some sort of pre-designated response to, essentially. And whether it really makes sense or doesn't make sense, that's their argument, and to them it's enough, because they're not really willing to consider both sides and like whether it is overall better or if it just benefits them or doesn't benefit them. This is true of like when you make the argument that, I don't know, when sweaty players make the argument that like, oh, all my matches are going to be super sweaty, or when new players make the argument that like, I don't want to play in sweaty matches, and so I want skill-based matchmaking so my matches are more even. Both of them sort of are arguments for themselves, but as a 1.5 KDA player, I think I'm somewhere in the middle, in that like in most lobbies there are players that I can't beat at all, and then there are players that can't beat me at all. I'm somewhere in the middle. And so I feel like I really do think I'm sort of not on either side of those. I do think skill-based matchmaking is for the best. So if you don't agree with that and you've already chosen your side and you don't want to hear anything else, then you can go ahead and, I don't know, click off this video and go find something else to watch. But I want to take a few of the like common arguments against skill-based matchmaking and give you my reasoning for disagreement. And whether you agree with me or you don't, like, that's fine. But one of them is that like you can't get better if you're an SBMM and you're like a lower tier player. I have two problems with that. One is, I don't think you need to get better. The whole point of playing the game is to have fun, and if you're gonna need to have to spend the next 1,000 hours suffering through Crucible, if all you play is Crucible essentially, to get to the point that you don't feel like that's happening anymore, I think that's a really bad argument, because who the hell wants to do that? I think another bit of that is that like the people that I've noticed that are like really good players are typically people who've been playing since the beginning of Destiny 2, if not during Destiny 1 already, where they played through skill-based matchmaking basically the entire time until just now, where skill-based matchmaking benefits them more than, or connection-based matchmaking benefits them more than skill-based matchmaking these days, because they've now gotten to a point where they are pretty good. So during Shadowkeep, skill-based matchmaking was removed, and so now connection-based matchmaking is the way we've had it for the last couple of years. I didn't start until Beyond Light, so when I started it was connection-based, and PvP was my main, because PvE just didn't interest me. Like the story didn't make sense to me, and there was like way too much lore to try to catch up on to try to make sense of it so that it would interest me, and so I just never bothered. I just played PvP essentially. Also, the PvE enemies absolutely suck. Like, everybody just stands still, and there's just the only difficulty is really artificial difficulty, where like they have more health and they do more damage and stuff. So I think it's kind of crap anyway. But yeah, don't think that you only get better by playing better players, and I don't think those people who are making the argument, who have been playing since the beginning, are being genuine in their argument. The way that you get better typically, like let's say in judo, jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, anybody who used to watch my channel before I started mostly just playing or posting computer stuff, video game stuff, knows that I've been practicing that sort of stuff for a few years now. And yeah, it works in those environments because typically the people that are better than you are giving you a chance to work on your moves. They'll play it sort of to your level instead of just trying to beat you. They'll put you in a position, let you work out of it, and then put you in another position, and they'll like do their movements slowly enough that you have time to think and react a little bit. Because if they were not to and they just wanted to beat you, they just simply could. This is of course like if you're similar in weight, similar in strength, stuff like that, which is kind of how Destiny is, that like everybody starts off with the same amount of health, outside of like of course bumping your resilience and stuff, and everybody has access to like the same archetype of weapons, and even though you can't get the god rolls, you can get something pretty good regardless of whether you have DLCs or not. It's not totally pay to win. I mean, there's a little bit of that where there's like a few advantages here or there, but I would say for the most part it's not a big deal. So I think that argument is kind of nonsense. Like, you can't get better by playing people who just demolish you, which is what people do in PvP. Like, people definitely don't go easy on you and let you work. They just destroy you if they can. The other thing is that like they complain that their matches are going to be super sweaty and the only way to keep up is to play with super meta loadouts. And I think that's also kind of nonsense, because if those people who are similar in skill to you enough that the only reason they're winning is because they're crutching, they'll move out of your skill bracket. They'll move up. And then you won't be playing them. You'll be playing people who are worse than you in crutching on meta stuff, so you should still have a reasonable chance of beating them. Or you'll be playing against other people who are using similar loadouts to yourself. And realistically, the people who are at the top are using meta stuff anyway. So I think that argument is nonsense. The other thing is that like connection, they talk about like how connections were so bad, and I swear this is like every person's argument is that like, I used to play during skill-based matchmaking and like every player in my lobby in every single match was teleporting all over the place and all their connections were so terrible. I find that statistically improbable. I don't doubt that there are plenty of there were plenty of occasions that they can recall where that was the case, but I don't imagine that that was true as often as they might say it was. Just like today, like now, I would say many matches go to a Mercy, but to say something that like 90% of matches go to a Mercy, I think it's a little bit crazy. I would say, I don't know, 90% of matches have a pretty big skill difference or like point difference where like the weaker team realistically doesn't stand a chance of winning. I think that's true, but as far as going to Mercies, I don't think so, because it's a team that's steamrolling chooses not to capture so that they can continue to steamroll the other team, which is what I've seen people in the chat saying like, don't cap the zones, I don't want a Mercy. And then if you watch like one of Benny's recent videos where he was, I don't know, testing some weapon he was trying out or whatever, and he was like annoyed that the match was over because it was Mercy when he had like a 30 kill streak or something like that. I like Benny. I like watching his videos. I like watching his 1v3s. I like watching when he plays against other streamers and stuff, the sweaty matches and stuff like that. But I don't particularly like the matches where he's just stomping on people to showcase a weapon, and then complaining that like the matches got Mercy. Like, no, that was such a good match. I wish you hadn't gone to Mercy. I wish my teammates wouldn't have capped the zones. Like, if my team is stomping, I cap zones because I want the match to be over. And if my team is absolutely getting stomped, like I don't know, if the match is already like at 50-15, then I don't capture any more zones because I just want it to be over so I can start the next match instead of just quitting the match. I'll still try to get kills and stuff. I'm still trying to play the match, but I'm not going to, I don't know, prolong the match when it's already a lost match. And Another argument is that like this implementation, the reintroduction of skill-based matchmaking primarily hurts the best players, like saying we're being punished for being good players. And not just being punished for being good players. Punished, first of all, to be put into matches that are when you consider, right, the side of the argument of like worse players who are being stomped on all day, like I don't know, the top 1%, or even let's spread that and say the top 5% making that argument, saying that like I don't know, they're more deserving of favorable matchmaking compared to the rest of the player base. If it's 95% of the player base, is a little bit ludicrous. Like to say, well, if you think it's unfair that because you're good, like you're being punished or whatever, like those people are not good, and they are also constantly being punished, because not only are you complaining about being punished because you're being put into matches where the people in there are of similar skill to you, like you're advocating for the people who are worse than you to be constantly forever stuck in matches where they have virtually zero chance of beating other players. Like they can't even find a 1v1 that they have like a reasonable chance of winning. And I don't mean, I don't know, a 75% chance of winning or even a 50% chance of winning. I mean like a 10 or 20% chance of winning where they might win a few of those engagements throughout the match. And to give you some numbers, Bungie themselves have said that a very, very large majority of matches have a 900 point out of 2,000 skill discrepancy from worst player to best player, where 200 points means that the better player will win 75% of engagements, and 400 point difference means they'll win 90% of engagements, and 600 points is like the worst player of the two has essentially virtually no way of winning a fight against that other person. And there's a 900 point skill discrepancy in most control matches by a lot. And I'm sure there are matches where that's even worse. 1,100 points or 1,200 points, who knows? And so saying that, like, I don't know, you're being punished by having to play people of your skill, and these people are going to have it easy. They're going to have it easy. They're going to have it just as easy or just as hard, as you might say, because they're also going to be playing people of their skill. So it's still going to be sweaty for them. It's still going to be hard for them. They're still going to have to, fight tooth and nail. If skill-based matchmaking to you is fighting tooth and nail because you have to play people of your skill level, well, it's the same for them. And to them, that's much more favorable. That's a really vast improvement over the current system. The other thing is, I don't know, that it's the most avid players, not only the best players, but like the most avid, the most dedicated PvP players that like, I put in all this time to get good at PvP, and now I'm going to be punished for it. My argument to that is that like everybody else is left because it absolutely sucks for them. Like the most avid players are most avid because, I don't know, because they do well. The people who are slaying in PvP are like, yeah, I'm gonna jump into another PvP game and go stomp some more noobs. While the people who are getting stomped, 30 deaths and 2 assists, and no final blows, are not gonna continue playing. I think if those people had a more reasonable chance of playing, or like winning or competing, not just even winning, but competing in PvP, those people would play more. And sure, maybe not all of them. You'll see, obviously, like in any other season, in any activity, you'll see a spike at the beginning and then you'll see a drop off after that. And to give you an idea of how bad, I don't know, lobby balancing and the state of PvP is at the moment, and not just PvP, but Destiny as a whole, the numbers about, I don't know, a couple weeks, maybe a month or so after the launch of Witch Queen, which was like the one of the biggest launches in recent history. The player base was as low as it had been in the previous 2 years within like a couple weeks, which means people were real excited about the DLC. Many people played the DLC and then they stopped playing. So I think in general, people are largely not liking what the game is like right now. And it's not just, I know some people like complain like it's the meta and stuff like that. Again, if you let them crush the meta and they beat you, they're going to move out of your skill bracket and they're going to play against other people who are either better than they are but not crutching, or similar to their skill and also crutching. So you can leave them to their own sort of misery if you would like. Yeah, as far as connection issues and wait times and stuff like that, I mean, if you go and read the TWAB, you'll see that Destiny or Bungie has stated that, that stuff is still going to be priority. The thing is that they're just going to have sort of lobbies or skill brackets, not necessarily like ranked systems that you have in other games and stuff, but they're going to take these sort of skill points that they appoint to people into consideration when making a lobby and try to keep it sort of tightly packed. I think a few of the numbers, though, in defense of, or to play devil's advocate here, are a little bit crazy. Like when they say they're going to try to aim for like a 10-point discrepancy in a match. 10 points? 140 to 150? Like they want, I don't know, 50% of matches to end up that way? That's hard. I think that's going to be really, really difficult to do that. I guess if you're using something like a generative adversarial network for your matchmaking and stuff, maybe it would do pretty well. But I think if they're making the algorithm themselves and thinking like, well, this system should work pretty good, we take this and that and these like 5 or 6 factors into consideration for skill and the way that we balance the lobby and group these people, I think it'll be really, really hard for them to do by hand. But I think if they use GANs, it won't be, I don't know, it won't be quite as bad. But in any case, I've been ranting long enough. Yeah, I think people who like see, and this is sort of an argument that you hear not just amongst politics, but amongst like social political arguments and stuff like that. That people who are, I don't know, accustomed to privilege view equality as oppression. Right, like if you're in a position of privilege and you move from that into a position of equality, that feels like oppression by comparison, and I can understand that. I think it makes sense. I think because, I don't know, whether we think of things as favorable or unfavorable, it's oftentimes not whether it's a good thing, a bad thing, or sort of somewhere in the middle. It's more so whether it is worse or better. So, in any case, I need to get back to my studies. I have a final in a few hours, so that might be it for me. Yeah, I feel like the content creators have been really, I don't know, annoying on this topic. When you think of Astacross and you think of True Vanguard and Crucible Rose and like whomever else, a little bit annoying in that, like, at first, some odd years ago when they first made their original videos, they well, not Crucible Rose, but the other two, and they're not the only ones, but they took a stance on it at the beginning that skill-based matchmaking has got to go. People won't improve ever if they're always stuck in like their weak lobbies and stuff, and nobody ever gets to relax and stuff. Like nobody below average or even slightly above average or below is relaxing at all. Nobody. The only people who are relaxing are the people who can destroy the entire lobby themselves. You know, like Benny is relaxing. You know, Sir D is relaxing. And I like a lot of Benny's content. I don't like the ones where he's like complaining that it goes to a mercy because he's destroying the entire other team. Oh man, poor me that like the match is ending so early when I could have enjoyed it longer. Sir D's videos are real funny. True Vanguard has a lot of informative videos, or not just informative videos, but videos that bring sort of these sort of topics and stuff to light. So I do appreciate that. Astacross I think is funny. But I think they in terms of like what they had to say back then and what they have to say now they're being a little more cautious, because their comments, like I said at the beginning, the comments on their videos today seem very split, but their comments on their videos from a couple years ago, people have gone back to those videos after the changes, when the removal of skill-based matchmaking first took place, and talked about how much worse it now has been. And that really is like the main point of all of this, is today's matchmaking is so horrible, so terrible, that like I wouldn't say 90% of matches end in a mercy, but I would say about 80% of matches should, if people are really trying to play the objective. And 90% of matches today, for me, definitely do end with the stupid, we're breaking up those teams to try to find a better match, which never happens. The only thing that's been worthwhile lately, survival sometimes, about half the time, is a pretty good match. And sometimes not so much, just because the player pool is too small. And then elimination, same thing. I don't think it's about getting good. I think it's about having fun. And I think for the most part, SBMM is going to mean a lot of fun for a lot of players who, are willing to give Crucible another chance. Like a lot of my friends that really just play PvE and don't play any PvP because they say it absolutely sucks for them. And some of them longtime players, who've put in just as many hours as anybody else, but they play a lot of PvE stuff because, they're experiencing PvP was terrible. And so they don't bother to do it anymore. Yeah. I don't know. That's enough for me. I still got a few more snippets to clip for this thing. If you've been watching the sort of background play and stuff, you'd see like these are just clips from where I cut out some boring parts, not necessarily where I died or where I killed somebody, but just boring parts from some recent streams and stuff. So that stuff's pretty recent, maybe a week or two ago or something like that. So yeah, if you want to hate on me in the comments and tell me I'm trash and that's why I want skill-based matchmaking, go ahead and do that. Or if you want to maybe bring something to light that I didn't mention in this video, of course I didn't want to mention everything. Like, it would be like an hour or 2 hour long podcast I'd have to have with somebody to really discuss everything that this topic entails. So I wanted to just bring up these few comments that I find are really prevalent within the comment sections of various videos from various content creators, and sort of give my 2 cents about it, like anybody cares, right? In any case, if you've watched up to this point, thanks. Like, comment, share, dislike, subscribe, whatever. And see you guys in the next video, huh? I probably won't do another one like this. I'll probably just do some more streaming and stuff. But anyway, thanks for coming by. I'll see you guys later.